Trustworthiness.
Simply stated, trust is placed in those who are deemed to be trustworthy. Accordingly, trustworthiness is focused on a rational evaluation of the trustee, with particular emphasis on characteristics that contribute to the trustor's willingness to become vulnerable. These characteristics tend to be viewed as traits or attributes that typify one's behaviors and intentions. Factors that contribute to one's image of trustworthiness can be parsimoniously summarized in terms of ability, benevolence, and integrity. 12. Ability refers to that group of skills, competencies, and characteristics that enable a party to have influence within some specific domain. 13. In other words, trustworthiness necessarily involves the capacity to honor trust. The noblest intentions to honor trust fail to do so without the requisite ability. It is also critical to note that ability is specifically evaluated in relation to a particular realm, because skill and competence in one domain does not necessarily translate into others. For example, one might trust her spouse, who is employed as an accountant, to correctly complete and file the household tax return, but not to successfully prepare a large holiday meal for friends and family, given his limited culinary experience. Finally, some types of abilities are malleable, such as skills that can be acquired and refined over time, whereas some are stable and resistant to change, such as cognitive ability. 14. Benevolence refers to the extent to which a trustee is believed to want to do good to the trustor, aside from an egocentric profit motive. 15. Such discretionary behaviors speak to the trustee's willingness to behave in a trustworthy fashion. Benevolence is evaluated in relation to the specific relationship between the trustor and trustee. Therefore, assessing benevolence is believed to be more easily accomplished in more developed relationships, as this involves an evaluation of the trustor's orientation toward the trustee in particular, which is not the case with ability. Demonstrating a pattern of care, concern, and goodwill toward the trustor over time, especially when it comes at some cost to the trustee, are the hallmarks of benevolence. Once formed, perceptions of benevolence can be very resistant to change. 16 For example, in strong, well-developed relationships, perceptions of high benevolence can become so entrenched that trustors deny any subsequent evidence of malfeasance. 17 In the same way, once one is regarded as having low benevolence, any subsequent behavior tends to be viewed through a lens of suspicion. 18 There is also some evidence that trust erodes more rapidly when the reason for a trustee's violation of trust is an unwillingness, rather than inability, to honor trust. 19. Integrity refers to the trustor's assessment that the trustee adheres to a set of principles that the trustor finds acceptable. 20. Indicators of integrity may include the degree to which the trustor treats others fairly, engages in consistent and predictable behavior, and enacts behaviors that are consistent with espoused principles and values. Importantly, the trustor's acceptance is as critical as the trustee's adherence. For example, the trustee's adherence to espoused principles facilitates predictability, but might show that the trustee is predictably selfish, and therefore does not necessarily contribute to trust. It is the adherence to principles the trustor accepts that facilitates the trustor's confident positive expectations. As with benevolence, integrity also speaks to the trustee's willingness to honor trust. Because integrity is often perceived in reference to accepted principles and values, it tends to result in a holistic evaluation of the trustee. That is, regardless of domain, and regardless of whether it occurs in the trustor's particular relationship with the trustee, integrity-relevant events are salient and diagnostic. Much like perceptions of benevolence in an established relationship, integrity perceptions tend to be highly stable once formed, unless there is overwhelming evidence to the contrary. 21 For example, trustees found to be dishonest on one occasion tend to be perceived as dishonest in general. 22